What's up, guys? This is Derek from moreplacemoredates.com. Today we're going to be talking about fake natties because this is something I get asked about all the time. Like, here, Derek, how do I spot fake naturals? Blah, blah, blah. And there are, some popular fitness YouTubers that are coming under fire lately for, claiming natty status when they are evidently making far more expedited process than they ever have in their several year, pass on YouTube. And the truth of the matter is, if somebody's on gear or not, it's relative to what their genetic, baseline is. So let's just say hypothetically we have, a good example of somebody who I think is a fake natural as of recent is this guy called David Lade. And basically throughout, I don't know how many years he's been on YouTube, probably at least a few. And he's always tries to get PRs. He's like a big, strength guy. He likes to try and break 1 rep maxes all the time. And for like the entirety of his YouTube career, he's been like hit certain numbers and people like are fairly aware of what he's capable of hitting. And then all of a sudden, as of recent, he's like busting strength plateaus every single day. He goes in the gym, beating his bench press by like 10 to 15 pounds every single time. That's a perfect example of a guy who's, if he's claiming natural status, then he would be, a fake natural. It has nothing to do with, a lot of guys look at this guy's physique, David, for example, and they see, he's like, I don't know what he weighs, but he's probably like 190 or maybe 200. I don't know how tall he is, but he's like lean. And then he's kind of like on the fence of, is that a possible physique to achieve naturally or not? It has nothing to do with that. It has to do with his genetic predisposition and what he can achieve naturally. And up to now, his genetic, peak was such that where he was stagnant for a long period of time prior to hitting all these strength plateaus. So for him, his, genetic limit was what he was however many months before he started, busting plateaus like crazy. So as of recent, all of a sudden he's, every single lift he uploads is like a new PR. He's like breaking bench press records by 15 pounds every single time he goes to the gym, such and such. For him, that's his genetic limit and where he becomes unnatural. Another guy could, be a natural like 220, 10% and, be bigger than David even when David's like sauced to the gills, which I'm not saying he is. He's probably on like 500 milligrams of test or something. But at the end of the day, what you look like, not natural is relative to your own limits genetically. So for, another example is that Cassady Campbell guy. He's like, he doesn't look like he's on gear by any means. And a lot of people would question if he even lifts just based on his physique. But at the end of the day, he's uploaded workouts for however long, and a lot of his, top lifts are known around the community of people who follow his stuff. And then all of a sudden, his bench is going up like crazy, and he's, busting strength plateaus and hitting like 275 for reps on the bench, which isn't like a good lift necessarily, but for him, compared to his, relative natural baseline, it is. And he's making significant progress in relative terms to what he is capable of achieving naturally. So those are examples of guys who, it doesn't matter if you look like, a Mr. Olympia competitor. Those guys not on gear would look better guys sauced to the, the tits on gear who don't necessarily look like they take gear. Like, it has nothing to do with if you look like you have like the trend delts or you don't. It doesn't really matter. It's all your genetic predisposition. So at the end of the day, when you're trying to like spot naturals, if you're going to do it based on their history of lifting, you do it on that and their relative baselines, not based upon, Phil Heath isn't natural, so if you don't look like you're a top NPC competitor, if you don't look like you could compete on an Olympia stage, then you're probably natural. Like, it doesn't work like that. So I know plenty of guys who've taken gear who look worse than guys who don't take gear. It's just a matter of, I've said it about 50 times now, comparing it to an actual baseline reading of what is achievable for that individual naturally. And a lot of times you don't have these, historical landmark dates to, reference for anybody because no one really logs their entire bodybuilding history, but these guys have. So that's like a perfect example of what you can look at for what guys with, semi-average genetics or decent genetics can expect when they take gear. Like, it's not like they've exploded and turned into Mr. Olympia, and that's because their genetic response to these drugs isn't such that, you know, they have Olympia quality physiques, and that's why when they're natural, they don't look like they could be Olympia competitors either. And those guys who have that sick, crazy genetic response, you know, even when they're natural. Like with Phil Heath, he touches a weight and he gains muscle. With these guys, you take gear and you're still like kind of wondering, oh, is he on gear? Is he not on gear? At the end of the day, too, it might be their first cycle, and it's going to take several cycles before they build up that physique that reaches that level of super physiological, you know, physique where you would actually think, okay, well, he's definitely on gear now. So, and I have no doubt that that David guy is probably going to get to that point where people are saying, oh, there's no way he's natural at this point, because people are already saying that. And do I think he looks natural? I don't know. At the end of the day, maybe, maybe not, but it's probably his first cycle, and he's going to keep going. He's going to keep breaking strength plateaus, and people are going to keep accusing him of it. And if he denies that, that's entirely up to him. I don't really frown upon people who do that, because I'm sure a lot of his sponsors are riding on the fact that he claims that status, which is kind of crappy because, you know, you pretty much have to lie to people. But that's up to him at the end of the day, and that's like not really what this video is about. It's more about the reference point of what you can use as a baseline for if somebody's natural. And then a lot of people say, well, you know, if some other guy isn't, you know, breaking crazy plateaus and he remains stagnant, does that mean he's not on gear and he's natural? No, that means he's probably already done that initial influx of gear where he made most of his gains to the super physiological stage he's at, and he's maintaining that with, you know, either TRT or whatever he's on. And to reach another, you know, next level, he would have to crank the doses up and, you know, crank up his food intake and do other things that he's not doing at this time. And that's why he's stagnant at this particular new super physiological baseline. So guys like, I don't know, like Simeon Panda, for example, like obviously I can't say for certain if he's natural or not. I don't think he is, but like the reason he's stagnant for so many years is because he's reached a point where if he wanted to take it to the next level now, he'd have to increase his drug usage, as opposed to, you know, when he first made his transition to the super physiological level, that certain amount of gear brought him there, and that certain amount of food and training volume did that. In order to get to the next level, he would have to do things that would be out of what, like, the standard or, you know, normal of what he's doing drug and training wise. So anyways, hope that was somewhat informative and wasn't, you know, too all over the map. I was kind of just like talking on the fly there, but hope that was interesting. If you like the content, I have a lot of informative videos that you guys might like. Please like, subscribe, check out my blog, moreplatesmoredates.com. Subscribe there. A lot of good written iterations of my more information related articles, or videos, I mean, that you can read in article format there. So anyways, thank you guys for watching. Talk to you soon.